The father tiptoed into his son's room, the floor creaking under his weight. It was their nightly routine, a whispered goodnight to chase away the monsters. But tonight something felt off. The room was too still, too heavy with anticipation. His son lay there, eyes wide, a grin stretching from ear to ear. The moonlight painted his face, casting eerie shadows. "You okay, buddy?" the father asked, trying to ignore the unease. The boy nodded, that grin never fading. "Daddy, check for monsters under my bed." The father chuckled, humoring him. He knelt and peeked beneath the bed. But instead of dust bunnies, he found another boy, pale, terrified, and real. His true son. "Daddy," the real son whispered, "there's someone on my bed." The father's blood ran cold. He turned. There, on the bed, was an imposter, an exact copy of his son. But this one had voids for eyes and a grin that promised darkness. "Who are you?" the father demanded. The imposter chuckled. "I am the echo," it said. "The shadow that feeds on innocence." The father's mind raced. Changelings, folklore, it didn't matter. His son's doppelganger was a nightmare. "What do you want?" the father asked. The imposter leaned close. "To replace," it whispered. "To taste your world." The father grabbed his true son, pulling him from beneath the bed. The imposter faded, but its grin lingered. As they fled, the moon watched. The imposter hungered, patient. The father vowed to protect his son, no matter the cost. But monsters never die. They were familiar faces, waiting for the next crack in reality. And so, the father whispered to the night, "I will keep you safe. No matter what." The father's nights became restless, haunted by the memory of that grin, the imposter's promise lingering like a shadow. He checked under the bed each evening, half expecting to find the void-eyed doppelganger waiting. But the room remained empty, the moon casting its indifferent glow. Weeks passed, and the father's resolve wavered. Was it over? Had they escaped the clutches of the darkness? His son slept soundly, blissfully unaware of the battle fought in the quiet hours. Then, one stormy night, the wind howled against the window. Rain drummed on the roof, and lightning sliced through the darkness. The father sat by his son's bed, reading a bedtime story. The boy's eyes drooped, lashes brushing his cheeks. And that's when he heard it, a soft whisper, barely audible above the storm. "Daddy," the voice said, "there's someone outside my window." The father's heart clenched. He peered through the rain-streaked glass. There, on the windowsill, perched the imposter. Its grin was wider, more malevolent. The voids in its eyes seemed to absorb the flickering lightning. "You cannot escape," it murmured, its voice a dissonant melody. "I am woven into your world." The father's breath hitched. He reached for the baseball bat tucked behind the bedroom door. The imposter's grin widened, mocking. It knew his every thought, every fear. "What do you want?" the father demanded, his voice trembling. The imposter's gaze shifted to the sleeping boy. "To replace," it whispered. "To taste the sweetness of your world." The father lunged, swinging the bat. But the imposter melted into smoke, slipping through his fingers. It laughed, a sound that scraped against sanity, as it vanished into the storm. The father held his son, tears mixing with rain. The imposter would return. It hungered, patient and insatiable. And this time, the stakes were higher. The darkness craved not just innocence, but the very essence of their existence. As the storm raged, the father whispered his promise once more. "I will keep you safe. No matter what." But deep down, he knew, the battle had just begun. And the grin in the dark would haunt them until the end. Crescent moon, high voltage cloud with rain.